Hello everybody and welcome back to another RAIB update. We've had one of these in the past in February, but since that point the RAIB has actually introduced two new documents. One is a full report and the other is a safety digest. One of the benefits of being by a railway line is I'm going to pause for a second to let this fella go past. Now, if you follow the podcast, you know that I've been through in the past and said what the difference between a full report and a safety digest is. But if you haven't heard that, I'll briefly tell you now. A full report is the output that we get when the RAIB goes and does a full, entire investigation. It can be very long, very detailed, very in-depth, and that includes what the causal factors are, how the accident happened, and any recommendations that are made from that accident. Sometimes the branch will decide that a full investigation isn't actually appropriate. You could be forgiven for thinking that's because it's too much work, etc, etc, and in a way it is, but not from any laziness. You're absolutely fine. You no, you're fine, don't worry. I'll cut you out as well if you want. You could be forgiven for thinking that that is down to laziness, and it's not. It is an avoidance of work, but more the duplication of work. What you tend to find is that a safety digest might be issued at a point when a full investigation into another incident has also covered the learnings that you'll get from this one. And they can also be used to quite quickly turn around a response to an accident and a message of safety. The last type of document that they tend to put out is called urgent safety advice, and this is probably the most self-descriptive one of the lot. It's a method of urgently getting out safety advice, and they can be done at any point during an investigation or just in general when they come across information. That's what they do when they want to get an important safety learning or urgent risks that need addressing now out there and into the industry. So that little rundown leads us into what the RAIB has published over the last month. On the 4th of March, they have published Report 02-2021. That one covers the derailment of a freight train at Eastleigh in Hampshire, and that took place in January last year, 2020. Just before lunchtime on the 28th of January, a driver took over a Freightliner service with 30 goods wagons behind it at Eastleigh Station. He drew out of the station and immediately passed over a set of points and derailed. All of the locomotive's wheels dropped into the space between the two lines, and 4 of the wagons behind it also derailed at the same time. Luckily, the driver felt alert as he was crossing the points, and he put the emergency brake in straight away. So he only travelled 90 metres from the point that we derailed, and it probably could have avoided a bit more of a serious accident that could have taken place. The immediate cause of this one was that the track itself became too wide for the locomotive to stay on it. The track came out of gauge. Obviously that's not quite good enough. Immediate's immediate, but we need to know why that happened. So going through the investigation, the underlying causes were found that there was a number of track fastenings that hold the track in place over the points that had broken away. In fact, there was 3 of them that were absent before the train even passed over the section of line. Further investigation showed that another causal factor was that the design was flawed and it was more susceptible to this level of failure. And then one of the institutional factors which influenced this disaster, say disaster, that's probably a bit of a sensationalist term, but this incident was that the maintenance inspectors were unable to detect or address that failure. Not only that, the local maintenance depot was not effectively managing the maintenance of its assets, which we know, if we've listened to the podcast before, brings back some really sort of worrying and daunting messages of things like Hatfield and Grey Rig, where managing the maintenance of the asset was instrumental in things going wrong. Luckily, not quite as serious as all that, but that's why the RAIB identifies and investigates these incidents just as seriously as if it was a full-on big major incident, because that's how we capture the slips in the process, and that's how we make sure that they don't reoccur going forwards. The recommendations from that report included one that Network Rail should develop a strategy to control the risks of this type of fastening and the maintenance of them. The second document that they released this month was the first safety digest of 2021. That relates to a near miss at Dereham station in Norfolk in December. While the carriage, the middle vehicle from a pacer set, was being unloaded at a heritage railway, it was being winched off the back of a low loader, and the chain that was fastening it to the low loader came loose. The middle carriage, unbraked, rolled down the low loader through a set of level crossing gates, narrowly missing people who were using the road at the time because the crossing was open to the road. Luckily, nothing went awry, nobody got seriously injured, but the potential was definitely there. I think in the report it said that there was a couple of hundred people used that road, in pedestrians or vehicles, in the time that wagon was being unloaded from the low loader. The cause of that was a fairly poor method of attaching the cable to the wagon itself. Not really worth a full investigation, but a safety digest which clearly shares the learnings, and the railway itself have stopped using that method of unloading until they've arranged how this cannot happen again. Their safety management system is being reviewed and reoccurrences should be avoided. No one was hurt, but it was luck more than anything else. A car going to the shops 5 minutes earlier or later could have been a really different story, and probably a full investigation. So they're really brief summaries of both of those, and I just wanted to sort of come on and let you know what's out there. Really recommend you, if you are interested in this stuff and you want to know more, get yourself over to the RAIB website. It's freely available. Just type into Google RAIB, it's on the gov.uk website. Have a read of them. There are a lot more that you're going to get from me in this sort of, but they really are worth a read, especially the Eastleigh one, because that goes into a lot more detail about the issue with the fastenings and the maintenance of them. So, with all that out of the way, hope you enjoyed that, hope you're interested. If you're not interested, tell me in the comments. If you are interested, tell me in the comments. Like, share, all of that jazz. And I shall see you next Monday for the next episode of the Signals to Danger podcast. Thank you very much.